This is grade 5 math unit 1. Number 1, look at the following expression. 3 times parentheses 8 plus 2 parentheses divided by 2. Which statement is true about the parentheses in this expression? So if you remember from the order of operations, the first thing that you should always do is you do things in parentheses first, and you go left to right. So first you do things grouped with parentheses, then things grouped with multiplication or division, left to right, and then things grouped with addition and subtraction, group left to right. So if I look at that, parentheses is first, so I should do this part first, 8 plus 2. So which statement is true about the parentheses in the expression? The parentheses indicate that 8 plus 2 should be solved first. That is true, so it's A. Number 2, which of the following is a composite number? So we have to find factors for these numbers. So first we start with the number 67. It's not even, so 2 is not a factor. If we add 6 plus 7 is 13, and 13 cannot be divided by 3 evenly, so we know that 3 is not a factor. So it seems like 67 is prime. Let's try 51. 51 is not even, so 2 is not a factor. If we do 5 plus 1, that's 6, and 6 can be divided by 3, so that tells me that 51 is a composite with a factor of 3. (37), if we do 3 plus 7, that's 10, and 10 cannot be divided by 3. And the last one, 11, just from the games that we've played, we know that 11 is a prime number. So 37 is prime, and 11 is prime. So the only one that's composite is 51, so the answer choice should be B. Number 3, simplify the following expression using the order of operations. So again, the order of operations is always going left to right. Numbers grouped with parentheses, numbers grouped with multiplication or division, numbers grouped with addition or subtraction, always left to right. So if I look at this one, the first thing I see is that I see a multiplication, so I have to do that first. So, and now my new expression will be 10 minus 6 plus 8. Then I have to go left to right, so since subtraction is first, I give 10 minus 6 is 4, plus 8. 4 plus 8 equals 12. The correct answer here is going to be 12. Number 4, which of the following statements about prime numbers is true? So I'm going to write down what I know about prime numbers. I know that prime numbers have only 2 factors. I should say I have only 2 unique factors. 1 and the number itself. So let's look at these statements. Prime numbers have more than 2 factors? No, that would be composite numbers have more than 2 factors. Prime numbers are always even numbers? That's not true either. The only prime even number is 2. So the only prime even number is 2. Prime numbers have only 2 factors. That's what I wrote down, so it looks like C is going to be the correct answer. Prime numbers are never odd numbers. Well, that's not true because we know that 7 and 11 are odd numbers and they're also prime numbers. So the only one that is true about prime numbers is that they only have 2 factors. C. Number 5, in the following expression, which operation should you do first? So remember, left to right, parentheses and brackets, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So if I look here, remember we also work inside out. So the parentheses is the furthest in would be this 7 plus 5. So that's what we do first. So we have to add first. So the correct answer is C. Number 6 says simplify the following expression using the order of operations. So remember again, I'm going to write down its brackets and parentheses first, followed by multiplication and division, numbers grouped by those, and addition and subtraction, numbers grouped with those symbols, always going left to right. So if I look at this, I have 7, and I have 36 divided by 4, so I have to do that first because it's in parentheses. And that's going to be 36 divided by 4 is 9, minus 3. Then I still have parentheses, so I have to do 7 parentheses. 9 minus 3 is 6. So now I have this 7 parentheses, 6 parentheses. Whenever I have a number next to parentheses, it means to multiply. So I can rewrite this as 7 times 6, which equals 42. The final answer should be 42. In number 7, it asks which of the following is true, and they're trying to show us which of these following fraction pairs are equivalent. So remember, we do that by multiplying the numerator, the top number, and the denominator, the bottom number, by the same factor. So let's look at this one. If I look at 2/3 is equivalent to 9/12. If I look here, 3 times 4 is 12, so I have to do the same thing to the top. 2 times 4 is 8, not 9, so this is not equivalent. The next one, if I look, 8 over 5 is equal to 8 over 10. Look here, start with the denominator. Well, 5 times 2 is 10, and 8 times 2 should be 16. This should be a 16. So this one is not true. The next one we have here is 5 over 6 is equal to 20 over 12. 6 times 2 is 12, so I have to do the same thing to the top. 5 times 2 is 10, not 20. So that doesn't work there, so this one's not equivalent either. So now we look at the 15 over 10 is equal to 30 over 20. So right here, 10 times 2 is 20. Do the same thing to the top. 15 times 2 is 30. That checks out. So letter D is the correct answer. Those two are equivalent. For number 8, it says Evelyn is buying 2.5 pounds of apples at the grocery store. Which of the following expressions has a value of 2.5? So let's just go ahead and solve these and add these together. So for letter A, if I have a half plus a half plus a half plus a half, that's going to give me, my denominator stays halves, and I'm going to do 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. Remember, I can simplify this. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That is not the same as 2.5, so it can't be A. For the next one, I have 2 halves plus 1 half. So again, my denominator stays the same. And I do 2 plus 1 is 3. So now I have 3 halves. And I can use division to get the mixed number. 2 goes into 3 one time. 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 minus 2 is 1. That's my remainder, and my denominator stays the same. So 2 halves plus 1 half is 1.5, and I need 2.5, so B is not the correct answer there either. Or letter C, if I add 2 halves plus 2 halves plus 1 half, I get the denominator is the same, and I get 2, 4, 5 halves. Again, I can use division to figure out my mixed number, or I can, so if I do that, I'm going to get 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. That's my new numerator, and the denominator stays the same. Well, this one looks like it's 2.5, but let's check the last one. I have half and a half. So that's going to equal 2 halves. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the only one that works is letter choice C, or number 8. Number 9, which of the following fractions is located closest to 1/2 on the number line? So we have fractions 3/4, 1/6, 2/3, and 3/12. So if I look at all these fractions, I had to look for a common denominator. That's really the best and the easiest way to look at this. Because if I count the number of jumps I have here, I have, let me count them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 jumps. And I have a half here. So I want to go ahead and make all of these 12ths. Because that's how many jumps I have. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it as 12ths. So first I want to start with 3/4. 3/4 is equal to how many 12ths? So if I look at the bottom, 4 times 3 is 12. I have to do the same thing to the numerator. 3 times 3 is 9. So 3/4 is equal to 9/12. So I'm going to put that right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right here is where 3/4 belongs. The next one I have 1/6 is equal to how many 12ths? And I'm doing 12ths again because there's 12 jumps between 0 and 1 whole. Okay? So 6 times 2 is 12. So I have to do the same thing to the top. 1 times 2 is 2. So that's going to tell me it's 2/12. So that's going to tell me that 1/6 is the same as 2/12. So 2/12 and 1/6 is right here. So 1/6 is the same as 2/12, so it's going to go right here, 1/6. Okay? So then the next one I have is 2/3. And 2/3 is equal to how many 12ths? Again, 3 times 4 is 12. So I have to do the same thing to the top. 2 times 4 is 8. So 2/3 is the same as 8/12. So I'm going to count that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2/3 is going to go right here at 8/12. And so then I look at the last one, 3/12, and for that one I don't need to change the denominator, I just need to write it where it belongs. So 3/12 would be 1, 2, 3/12. 3/12 is right here. So which fraction is closest to 1/2 on the number line? So if I look at these, the closest one is going to be this guy, 2/3. So the answer is going to be C, 2/3. Number 10. Bella and Ruby are running a race. The model is shaded to show the fraction of the race Bella has completed so far. Ruby has completed a greater fraction of the race. Which of the following could be the fraction of the race Ruby has completed? So let's first of all figure out what fraction is being shaded here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal pieces, and 5 of them have been shaded in. So I need to look to see which of these fractions is greater than 5/6. Greater than 5/6. So we're going to look here. So here we're going to do 5/6 compared to 4/5. 5/6 compared to 4/5. And we need to figure out if it's greater than, equal to, or less than. So remember, the first thing I did was I found a common denominator, which is the standard way to do it, and the easiest way to find a common denominator is to multiply the denominators together. So 6 times 5 is 30. So 6 times 5 is 30, so I have to do the same thing to the top. 5 times 5 is 25. And here I have 5 times 6 is 30. And whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. 4 times 6 is 24. So 5/6 is greater than 4/5, because the equivalent fractions when they're 30, 25/30 is greater than 24/30. So 4/5 is not the answer. Let's look at 7/8. I'm going to slide this up a little bit. Okay, we're looking at 7/8. So on this one, circle that right there, we have 7/8 compared to, again, 5/6. Which one is bigger? So again, is it going to be 5/6 is greater than, equal to, or less than 7/8? Again, find your common denominator, multiply the denominators together. So you're going to get from there, let's do 6 times 8 is 48 for each of the fractions. That's the new denominator. 6 times 8 is 48, and 8 times 5 is 40. So 5/6 is the same as 40/48, 7/8. 8 times 6 is 48, and 7 times 6 is 42. So 7/8 is equal to 42/48. So when I compare this, 5/6 is actually less than 7/8 because 40/48 is less than 42/48. So the best answer choice there is going to be B. You can also use 24 as your denominator because that is the first number. Then you skip count by 6 and 8 you get to, but either one is fine, 48 or 24. Number 11, Mr. Gael is cutting 4 pieces of balsa wood for a craft project. The table shows the length of each piece of wood. If he needs to use the longest piece for the next step of his project, which piece does Mr. Gael need? So let's go ahead and we're looking for the longest piece. So that's the one with the greatest value. So we can go ahead and get rid of piece R because if you look at the whole number, it's 9 and the other ones are 10. So we have 3/4, 1/4, and 5/8. Well, I already know that 3/4 is bigger than 1/4, so I can go ahead and eliminate that one too. So I'm only going to be comparing 10 and 3/4 with 10 and 5/8. So 10 and 3/4 compared with 10 and 5/8. So the next question I ask myself is, well, is 4 a factor of 8? It is. So I'm going to use 8 as my common denominator. So now I'm going to rewrite this as 10 over a number over 8 is greater than, equal to, or less than 10 and 5/8. So to get this 8, I did 4 times 2 is 8, so I have to do the same thing to the numerator. 3 times 2 is 6. So now I have 6/8 is greater than, equal to, or less than 10 and 5/8. So 10 and 6/8 is greater than. So that would make it the biggest piece. And that belongs to piece Q. So the correct answer is A, piece Q. Number 12, the model below shows the muffins Angelica baked. She baked 2 kinds of muffins. Blueberry muffins and banana muffins are white. Which equation shows one way to find the difference between the fraction of muffins that are blueberry and the fraction of muffins that are banana? So the first thing to remember is this is one whole group. This is one whole. Oops, I'll write that as, again, as one whole. Okay? So in my whole, my denominator is going to be 4, 8, 12. So my denominator is going to be 12. Okay? Because that's how many pieces there are in my whole group. Now here, if I look at this, which equation shows one way to find the difference between the fraction of muffins that are blueberry and the fraction of muffins that are banana? So we're looking for blueberry minus banana. Just put ban for short. So if I look at my muffins, the blueberry ones, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. Let me count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry, I have 7 blueberry muffins. And I double checked because I looked at the answer choices. I didn't see a 6, so I'm like, I need to count that again. There's 7 blueberry muffins. Banana muffins, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of the 12 are banana. To find the difference, that means I subtract. And when I subtract that, I have 7/12 minus 5/12. The denominator stays the same. And then I do 7 minus 5 is 2. So the difference between the blueberry muffins and the banana muffins is 7/12 minus 5/12, which is 2/12. That is answer choice D.